This podcast is part of the BombPod Media Network.
From DailyDoseOfWeirdNews.com, I'm Darren Marlar, and this is your Daily Dose of Weird News. It's the movie moment that has sparked debate for over 2 decades. Could Rose have saved Jack on that Titanic door? Well, now a group of Australian schoolgirls say the answer is yes, and they've got proof. You remember the ending, right? Rose and Jack are forced into the freezing North Atlantic Sea, and Rose clambers onto a floating door. But there's only room for one, and Jack tragically sacrifices himself so Rose can survive. Well, 10th graders Abigail Wicks, Christy Zhang, and Julia D'Amato from Westminster School in Adelaide, they used a math formula to show that they could have both survived if they'd put their life jackets under the floating door. This would have supported the wood, and the pair could have floated to safety. Wicks, 15 years old, said, "We looked at how buoyant the door would have been and how that would have changed if there were people on top of that." The team also considered the door's buoyancy would have been affected by the salt content in the water. The students presented their theory at the National Maths Talent Quest and won an award for their work. But director James Cameron, he is not impressed, and he's a bit of a party pooper on this. Speaking to the Daily Beast, he said, "Okay, so let's really play that out. You're Jack, you're in water that's 28 degrees and your brain is starting to get hypothermia. You now go take off your life vest, take hers off, swim underneath this thing, attach it in some way that it won't just wash out 2 minutes later, which means you're underwater tying this thing on in 28-degree water, and that's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes. So by the time you come back up, you're already dead." A Cambridge University study claims that sheep are able to recognize human faces. Which sheep we're not sure, since they all look alike. Johnny Depp has had 5 properties in Los Angeles go into foreclosure. Apparently, pirates' loot just doesn't go as far as it used to. About 10,000 Americans have alien abduction insurance. Okay, so if you get abducted and the aliens give you a medical exam, what's the copay for that? Police in Minnesota say a man walked into a donut shop as it was about to close and handed a clerk a note stating that he had a gun and a bomb. The man's note said that he would use both if he didn't get cash. The man then grabbed what he thought was a paper bag full of cash and fled. Turns out he stole a bag of donuts. You know, with their love of donuts, police should not take too long to track this guy down. 24/7 Wall Street has named Montana as the state where drivers are least likely to be in a car accident. Which makes sense, it's Montana. The nearest other driver is over 1.5 miles away. Dontarius Williams is a 21-year-old black man from Kansas, and he called police to report somebody had sprayed racist graffiti on his car. Racial slurs like "go home," "date your own kind," and "die" were found by the Riley County Police spray-painted on his vehicle. The good news is they have the person who did it in custody, and he has confessed. The bad news is it's Dontarius Williams. Yep, the guy did it himself, claiming it was just a Halloween prank. Never mind the fact that Halloween was almost 2 weeks ago. Sportscaster Bob Costas says that the future of football is bleak because of all the head injuries. The spokesman for the players responded, "True not that." An ethical debate is breaking out over some experiments where human brain tissue is being injected into the brains of mice. It's already causing issues because every night the mice try to take over the world. Archaeologists in Egypt have discovered a 2,300-year-old gem. Man, you want to talk about some pretty ripe sweat towels. Someone took an even closer look at Vincent van Gogh's painting Olive Trees and found a grasshopper embedded into the actual painting. It's the only thing that actually did look real in Vincent van Gogh's paintings. Well, here's a wild ride from Canada. See if you can keep up with this. Edmonton police say it began around 9:30 a.m. when a woman, her 6-week-old infant, and her father were all kidnapped from their home and forced into a vehicle. The father, who was in the trunk, escaped while the vehicle was moving shortly before the woman and infant were also able to flee. Uninjured, all 3 were picked up by a man in a truck. Then the suspect's vehicle plowed into the back of that truck and wound up in a ditch 17 minutes after the kidnapping took place. Federal police then found a man, 2 women, and 2 female youths inside the crashed suspect's white BMW, and they were all naked. The video from the scene reportedly shows officers surrounding the vehicle before a nude man is led away. We should also mention it was 17 degrees outside at the time. All 5 naked individuals were taken to a hospital. The youths have since been released from custody, while the adults, who police say they knew their alleged victims, have been charged with kidnapping and resisting arrest. Police have not disclosed a motive but believe drugs and alcohol may have been involved. Yep, that would be my guess. Get the Daily Dose of Weird News podcast for Apple or Android at dailydoseofweirdnews.com. And please leave a review on iTunes if you like the show. I'm Darren Marlar, and I'll see you next time, Weirdos! Ghosts, demons, shadow people, unsolved mysteries, unexplained phenomenon, monsters, and more. True stories of the paranormal and supernatural. I'm Darren Marlar, the creator and host of Weird Darkness, where I bring you the dark, creepy, and macabre. You can even tell me your own stories for use in future episodes. Get the podcast today for Apple, Android, or your favorite podcasting app at WeirdDarkness.com.